The first step is to have an equipment record with associated meter. So let's set up a basic piece of equipment. And for now, let's just save this information and go to meters. We're going to add a new meter, and let's create a meter called M1. And let's call this my hour counter. And the unit of measure is going to be hours. You can control the set of unit of measures. And the update method can be a replace or add. So replace would be if each time I'm going to enter the total number of hours, it would replace the previous one. Or I can have it as an add, and I can enter the incremental number of hours since the last meter reading. In this case, let's pretend that we have an hour meter on the machine, and we're just going to read that value directly off the machine and place it into Thrive. And let's say that we have a rollover point at 9,999 because our meter only has 4 digits. Now at this point we have equipment with a meter. The next step will be to set up the planned maintenance activity. But before we do that, let's cover quickly how can you update the meter readings. The first way is to do it right here in the equipment page on the meters tab. Click update. Put in the new meter, let's say it's 50 hours, save, and close. And now you can see that we have a record total value of 50 and when that time had taken place. Another place to do that is on the meter readings page. If you go into your menu, maintenance, meter readings, it's right here. Let's refresh this page so it shows our new meter. We can search for it by saying what meter was, in this case, the meter over here. We can find M1, or we could have searched by the equipment. Here's our new meter. Let's say it's now at 75. And you can see that it was 50. Now we're going to replace that with 75. Click update. If we come back over here to our equipment page, refresh, we'll see now that we are at 75. We had a previous reading of 50 at 4:33, and now we're at 75 with a new timestamp. The last place this can happen is on the work order. So let's go to a work order. Again, this is Thrive menu, maintenance, work orders. Let's create a new work order with hour meter update. And we're going to do a meter update. So we create our new work order. First of all, we need to attach it to a piece of equipment. So we'll go to the asset number, and it was EQ1. Save that. So if we look in our meters and we say let's update our meters, it's going to know I have a work order. It's based on equipment number EQ1, and so it knows the available meters for that, and let's say it's now at 100 hours. So I can update here. Again, I can go back to my equipment page, to this equipment page, update, and I can see that I have a meter reading of 100. And oh, by the way, it shows me that it came from work order 02068. So now I've showed you 3 ways to update the hour meeting readings: from the equipment page, from the hour meter reading page, and from a work order. Now that we know how to set up a piece of equipment, add a meter, and update the meter readings, let's go to the planned maintenance activity. And this is in the maintenance, planned maintenance. And let's create a new record. In a separate tutorial, we've demonstrated how to create planned maintenance activity, including the reoccurrence, which is a calendar-based trigger. Today I'm going to skip over those details and go straight to the meter readings. So this is 500 hour PM and clean machine. Okay, so very basic start. We'll go to the equipment, add the piece of equipment, and here we will choose asset number EQ1, save, and you see that we have additional options that pop up now that we have equipment associated to this planned maintenance activity. In this case now we can do schedule by meter, click on add, and we say what is our meter. Again, it's going to filter the list of meters down to the ones associated to this equipment. By default, it's going to pop up my last hour meter reading as my last service at, but let's say that we haven't actually serviced it since it was installed, so we're going to put it back at 0 hours, and we're going to service every 500 hours. We can also provide cycles in advance to generate. This would be, in this case, the number of hours in advance. So let's put in 100. What will happen here is that it will say we're cycling every 500 hours. We last serviced at 100, so in this case it would be at 500 hours. We would need to do this. If we were to say set this service every 500, but we serviced it at 100, now it's going to say at 600. 100 plus 500 at 600 hours is when the next service is due. Again, we'll put this back to 0. So now it's going to say at 500 hours the service is due, but 100 hours in advance of that I actually want to generate my work order. That will give me some lead time to plan and schedule this work order to be completed. So in this case at 400 hours, or any hour meter reading above 400 hours would trigger a preventative maintenance activity to generate. So let's save this. Okay, so now at this point we have completed our setup for a preventative maintenance activity that is based on an hour meter reading every 500 hours with an advanced generation of 100 hours. The next step in order to make this happen is we need to go and update our meters. Again, we talked about 3 ways to do that, either in the meters tab on the equipment itself, from a work order, or from the meter reading screen. So in this case, let's pretend that we have somebody that's updating our meter readings. Maybe they set these up on a route and walk around to the equipment once a week and update the meters. And now let's put in here my new reading was 425 hours. Let's go back to our equipment and look at our history. And you can see that we have now generated a work order based on this 500 hour meter reading. If we open that up, we will see a comment in here that says it was generated at hour meter reading 425. It's actually due at 500. You can change these comments, but this is automatically populated just to give you some visibility to that information. One thing to note is that the PM generation tool typically runs once an hour, so it may take up to an hour for that new work order to arrive in the work order list or in the work order history for the piece of equipment. Hope you found this demonstration helpful. If you have any questions, contact support@leantech.com or visit us. Our support page is online at docs.leantech.com, docs.leantech.com. Thank you.